Okay, we're going to go on a service call right now on a model BI-48 and replace the evaporator coil. And there's a leak. I found a leak in the coil, and the refrigerator has already been taken apart, so I'm going to try to film as much as I can for you. Even though the evaporator coil, I can fix the weld, I'm going to have to pull it out to do that, so we might as well just put a new one in. Okay, we'll see you there. Okay, I've already disconnected the evaporator coil from the back wall. There's a couple of screws there. Now you want to take the defrost termination switch and get that out of the way. Push it to the side somewhere. And then you want to remove the sensor for the evaporator coil also and push that out of the way, place where it's not going to get burnt when you start to sweat. Okay. Okay, now this unit had a line tap valve on it that was put on by somebody else. You need to take that off and cut the process port off there and prepare it so that you can sweat on a process port.
And will they, that's an install too.
Here's the part number for the evaporator coil, 7010505. Cut the capillary tube going into the evaporator coil. Unplug the defrost heater and unsweat the evaporator coil from the accumulator. Remove the defrost heater from the old evaporator coil. Reinstall the defrost heater onto the new evaporator coil using the clips that came off the old unit. Okay, now clean all the tubing, the accumulator, and the new evaporator coil. Get them all ready for sweating. Okay, you're going to want to sweat in the suction line to the accumulator first. Okay, at this time you want to prepare your filter dryer, remove the Schrader port and get it ready. Cut out the old dryer. Make sure you're cutting the right dryer out. You can follow the capillary tube. It's attached to the suction line of the compressor or the compartment. When you cut out the capillary tube from the filter dryer, make sure you don't crimp the line. Look at it with a light. Make sure you got a good opening there. And then prepare the tubing, the filter dryer tubing, condenser line there, and the capillary line for sweating. Okay, on this filter dryer I had to crimp the end because I cut the tip off. This was a different dryer that I've used before. Just make sure you get a nice tight crimp so that you don't fill it up with solder. Get your torch ready and solder the lines. Check your joints, make sure you got a good seal there. Okay, so now prepare the capillary line going into the evaporator. Check it with a light, make sure it's not crimped, because you don't want to put this thing together and then wind up finding out you have a restriction. So everybody has their own method of doing this. I use a wire cutter. And one thing I want to say is be very, very careful when you put your torch up in that area. Put some fireproof cloth or maybe a sheet of aluminum or something against the back wall. And also, you see that black fan blade up there? The heat from the torch melted that blade. And it just, because it's made out of really thin plastic, so I had to wind up changing that fan blade. So you need to cover that. Take it off if you can, it'd be easier. But just be really careful when you boiled up in that area. Okay, so reattach the defrost termination switch to the suction line just above the accumulator. Reconnect your sensor to the evaporator coil and your defrost lines, and then reattach the evaporator to the back wall with the 2 screws. Okay, reinstall the Schrader valves into the process port and the filter dryer. Hook up your nitrogen tank. Pressurize the system to about 150 to 200 pounds pressure. Get your soap bubbles ready and check all your joints for leaks. If you have a leak, empty the system, re-sweat, check it again. Okay, empty the system of nitrogen. Okay, either pull a vacuum on the system or do a sweep charge while you're reinstalling all the hardware for the freezer compartment. Okay, on this model, I weighed in 6 ounces of 134A after I did a sweep charge. Okay, so I finished recharging the system. I got all the gas in. I had to use a heat gun, and my camera's running out of juice, so I have to cut this video short, but you got the gist. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.